Next, we turn to some breaking news coming out of West Asia. The Israeli government has approved a controversial proposal to register large areas of the occupied West Bank as state property for the first time since 1967. This move was submitted by far-right Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, Justice Minister Yariv Yavin, and Defense Minister Israel Katz. According to the Israeli public broadcaster, the proposal aims to formalize Israeli control over Palestinian lands that are currently not registered, despite the fact that the formal registration process was halted by Israel in 1967. The proposal has sparked significant backlash as most Palestinian land remains unregistered due to bureaucratic obstacles and Israel's decision to stop the registration process during the early years of occupation. The plan further complicates the already tense Israeli-Palestinian relations, with critics accusing Israel of consolidating its control over disputed territories. Joining us now to discuss this breaking development coming out of the Middle East is Mohammed Osman, a Middle East expert. He joins us live from Cairo. Thank you so much, Mohammed, for joining us on this breaking development. What does this mean for people in the West Bank right now who will be hearing this news for the first time?
Thank you for having me, Thomas. It's always a pleasure to be with you. In essence, Israel is institutionalizing its de facto annexation efforts on the ground in the West Bank. Now it is legalizing the basically, or paving the way or a legal pathway for the possible acquisition, arbitrary acquisition of Palestinian lands by Israeli settlers or the Israeli government. And this of course is a very dangerous indicator, but it is part of a much longer pattern of Israeli arbitrary unilateral violations that basically seek to neutralize the possibility of any coherent Palestinian state that could be established in the West Bank. In the West Bank, over the past couple of decades or even more, settlements have expanded substantially. About 600 to 700 settlers live in settlements inside the West Bank. That's equivalent to over 1/3 of the West Bank's actual Palestinian indigenous population. And of course, Israel seeks by these measures to alter the people composition, or the population composition of the West Bank, and also to alter certain demographic realities and also geographic realities, unfortunately, Thomas. So this will not serve any peace agenda that President Trump might be claiming to have adopted in the Middle East. And if anything, it will only lead to further instability inside the occupied Palestinian territories. And it also has to be underlined that the West Bank is under Israeli occupation, yet it is not Israeli sovereignty. It is not recognized as such. And even Israel itself so far has not officially claimed sovereignty over the West Bank or even over their settlements over there.
Does this show that Israel is moving forward towards formal annexation of the West Bank, something which the United States is opposed by, may I add?
Yes, they're going to do everything except announcing it, Thomas. Basically, this will be a de facto annexation and acquisition of the West Bank, which has been going on for the past decades, actually, on a very gradual level. But now it is basically being given a much stronger jump start in order to accelerate the pace of acquisition and control and displacement of Palestinians as well, because now they will have legal grounds saying that these are not registered land, so we have a right to confiscate them. But bearing in mind that this is not Israeli land according to international law, and even according to Israel's own claims, so far at least. However, they do know that this will embarrass President Trump, the idea that they would officially annex the West Bank in total or in part, or even annexing the settlements or anything like that. This will anger Trump and embarrass him with his partners in the region, especially with countries like the Gulf countries and Saudi Arabia specifically, the UAE, Qatar, Egypt, Turkey. Many countries in the region will not be very receptive of such a move, and will definitely revise the relationship with the United States if the United States concedes to such Israeli actions. So the Israelis are basically meeting the U.S. down the middle. We will not announce or declare an annexation of the West Bank, yet we will take effective measures on the ground that will make annexation a reality in all but name, Thomas. And I think that the Americans have consented to that. The Trump administration is not applying any pressure on the Israelis in order to curb what they are doing at the moment. And let's always bear in mind, Thomas, that the Trump administration is the only U.S. administration in recent history since the Madrid Peace Conference and then the Oslo Accords that did not concede to the two-state solution, that did not recognize the two-state solution as the only solution for the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. And of course, this in itself says a lot about how Trump views the Palestinian issue, Thomas.
Indeed, and just very briefly, because we're running out of time, there's an election coming up in Israel later this year. Where will the public stand on this?
Oh, the public supports it, unfortunately. The public has been brainwashed over years and years of indoctrination by the Israeli establishment media so that they would oppose the establishment of a Palestinian state. And with the rise of the ultra-religious and nationalist right in Israeli politics, they do believe that the West Bank, or what they call as Judea and Samaria, is part of the historical Israel, and that this is a biblical prophecy that has to be fulfilled. So unfortunately, the Israeli public, the peace camp, the pro-peace camp, is very narrow. And after the events of October 7th and what Hamas has done, unfortunately, it even cemented this very hostile and aggressive mentality within the Israeli public. So actually, if this takes place and the Israelis move forward with acquiring more lands in the West Bank, this will actually increase the chances of Netanyahu and his right-wing coalition lunatics.
Mohammed, great to have you with us. Do stay as we turn over to further updates coming out of West Asia. Iran